compare my first mug to my last one. Hello, it is finally time for the long-awaited pottery update video. If you're new here, my name is Fig and I just finished an 8-week wheel throwing pottery class, and I finally got all my stuff back, so I thought it would be a great time to share what I made. I'll go through starting with the first thing I made and then go through to the last things I made, but before then I just wanted to compare my first mug to my last one. So this was my first mug. I guess it's pretty good size for a mug. When I made it, it was huge. I thought it was going to be more of like a pot, and the glaze was a bit of a fail. I don't know if you can see this on it. It's really wonky on the inside. There's even a crack at the bottom. And yeah, so basically I've just been using this to grow cat grass for soba in it, because I think it is really ugly, and Soba has broke pots in the past, and this is really heavy and like thick, so I think he will have a hard time breaking it. I made this bowl, which has been a perfect like salsa bowl. It's not like flat on the bottom, as you can see, and this one has some of the same glaze issues of the other one. It's a bit better. This side is smooth and this side is kind of textured like sand, and it has some pinkness to it, and it's very thick as well. And then before class I made this like pinch pot, like trinket dish, which I used as one of the practice things for glazing, and this one came out better, a little bit better than the mug. It does have some issues on the side where the glaze just didn't stick. This honestly has ended up being one of my favorite dishes. I just use it for fruit. And then moving on, that was my first like couple things, and after that I feel like I started to get a little bit better. I had a lot of failures, but next I made this mug or cup, glazed it green. It is very heavy. It's super thick, and it has some like bits of, I'm guessing it's from trimming it in the bottom. But yeah, overall good. It's a cup shape, so there's that. For my next thing, I made this tiny cup. It was small when I made it, and then it got even smaller after it was fired, but I think the glaze turned out really cool. I wish I would have used this green more actually, but there's just white on top and then this olive green on bottom. I've measured this cup and it holds 4 ounces, so if I drank like espresso, I could probably use this for that, or I don't know, I guess I could make like Vietnamese coffee in it, like something really strong. And then next I made, I'm not sure about the order actually at this point, but I also wanted, my goal with the class was I wanted to make things I could use like all the time. So next I made this paint palette, which I haven't used yet. I've been waiting to record this video. The glazing on it isn't perfect along the ridges. That was something that I had a hard time with, making sure I got the like rim of things glazed really well, but it's pretty smooth. Unfortunately, it is somewhat foot shaped. I wanted a like organic shape. I thought it would look cool to have it, like if I took a photo of my paintings, to have it next to it, something like small that would be easy to fit in frame. And yeah, so it's kind of foot-like, but I'm excited to use this. Ceramic I feel like is the best for mixing paint on, like especially watercolors. It feels really nice, so I'm hoping that this is a really nice experience. Plus I made it, so. And I will save the travel mugs for last, but I will show you, no, I'll wait on that one. I made another pot, but the way I glazed it, I feel like it makes more sense to have it with the travel mugs. the travel mugs was my main goal for class. I wanted to make my daily coffee cup, which I'm drinking out of my just like regular stainless steel cup, so that I can have all the cups clean for you. But I have been using the travel mugs already at home. And I don't really plan on editing this video too much, so hopefully it is interesting for you to watch. But next I made a couple of small plates, which unfortunately are not food safe. But this one is so dainty. It feels so nice. Feels like a legit like plate, and it has some cool like stuff there. And I used some iron wash on this, and then I dipped it in white, and then this glaze was called licorice. But as you can see, it's like bubbled up, and I wasn't sure if I needed to dip the glaze fully over the wash, which obvious now, like, yeah, I did. And so the center of the cup along that wash doesn't have any glaze on it, unfortunately. So these aren't food safe, but as far as shape goes, I feel like this is a really nice plate. And then I made a second one. This one's a little bit heavier. Same situation. Again, the center doesn't have any glaze on it, so can't eat off of it, but I'll think of something to use it for, because it is a really nice plate, and some of the like effect along the edges is like pretty cool. This one doesn't have the bubbles, so I don't know what I did to make the bubbles. So that's the bulk of the stuff. And then I made a little pot, which I thought was really ugly when I made it, but I think it's actually kind of cute now. But I used that as my practice run for the glaze, for what I wanted to do for the travel mugs. And unfortunately, my practice one came out the best. But that's okay. So this was the little pot that I used as a practice run for my travel mugs. I was going for a I did brown and white, and the brown was kind of caramely colored. I was hoping for like a coffee and milk kind of look. And this one came out the best. I have no idea what I'm going to use this for, but it's kind of cute. And then I made 4 of the travel mugs. I had a really hard time with getting walls up and making things tall, and the shrink rate really did help that. So these mugs are kind of small. But here's the first one I did. It is very heavy, like my green cup. And this one in the kiln got some like purpleness on it, the pinkness. So this was my first one that I made into like the mug shape. It's actually really smooth. I feel like the transition here is really satisfying. It's kind of almost rounded off. And luckily, even with the shrink rate, my straws all still fit in these holes. But yeah, that's the first one. As you can see, the brown didn't really come through like it did on my practice pot. But that's the first one. This one's really heavy. I don't know how much I will use this one because it's also really small. Next, I made these 2. And I think this one, like feel-wise, is my favorite out of all of them. So I think this is my favorite out of the bunch. I was trying to do this thing where I did a little thumb imprint on the side so they'd be really comfortable to hold. I have kind of small hands, so did that. And this one just feels really nice. Unfortunately, it's still just a bit small. If you know, I drink my coffee with ice, so 16 ounce is really more of what I would like, so I can put a bunch of ice in it and still have a lot of coffee. But besides that, this one is really nice. It has some of the drippy effect going on this side. It has more of that purple stuff going on. And yeah. Next, I made this one. Finally got a little bit taller. It's closer to the size it needs to be. This one is about 8 ounces, so it'd be half of my regular cup, which I mean isn't terrible, but I really wish that this was darker. I don't know if maybe I could have done a couple layers. I did do 2 in spots, maybe I should have done 2 everywhere. But this one also has a really nice thin rim. I like smooth the rim out so it'd be less thick, and it also has the thumb pressure point in. This one less so. I think this one was a little drier when I was trimming it. But overall it feels really nice, and it's not super thick. Lastly, I was like, I really want a large cup, so I decided to do a slab build one. Since I've done hand building before in the past, I knew I could do one, and I whipped this one out when there was like an hour left of studio time on one of the days. So my slab didn't have time to like dry out a bit before I was working with it, but I just worked with it when it was wet. So I made this one using slabs, which is why it's probably a little less uniform than the other ones. And again, the glaze just didn't really do what I was hoping. You can kind of see the lines of where I put it on. I feel like all of these parts are just a little bit darker are probably when I went in and did the second layer. This one also has a thumb spot. Honestly, it feels really nice. And yeah. I do feel like it looks a little bit like it's smaller on top than it is on bottom, but looking on camera, I can't tell. And again, it has the top on it. I made all of these so that it'd be easy to get my hand in for cleaning, and with the shrinking, it's really annoying to clean them actually. But I was trying, when I made this one, it was absolutely like huge. It was like giant, and again, now it's like small. I think this one is 12 ounces, so just a little bit smaller than my regular coffee cup. And this is the one I've been using the most, and Bo's been using this one a lot. But overall, I think it's pretty good. And I'm pretty happy with everything I made. I do wish I was able to make more. I still have around 10 pounds of clay left, and all my tools, obviously. So right now, the plan for the rest of the clay is there is a pottery supply store here in Seattle that does firing services. So the plan for right now is that Bo and I are going to use the rest of the clay, make a bunch of stuff, and then we'll probably buy a small container of glaze to glaze over our stuff, and then we'll try out firing at either the pottery supply store or another one of the studios in the area that has firing services. See how we feel about that, because obviously I have a lot of desk space. We have a lot of space. We don't have a lot of space, but we have the ability to do some pottery here at home. So we're going to try it out, see how we feel about it, and if we're like, man, this kind of sucks, I wish we had studio space to do this in, then we'll think about getting a membership, and also Bo might end up taking a class as well if he feels like he needs it. And besides that, for the rest of July, and then I think also for August, as you know, for May, I had the goal of just like trying new things, which is why I signed up for the pottery class in the first place. So my goal for the rest of July and then also August is I want to do more like crafts, like things where you make things that are more like three-dimensional. I haven't showed you guys yet, but I finished the woodworking project I was working on. Well, finished. I think it could use some finishing touches, which I might do in another vlog. But I've been enjoying making things that have like objects at the end. So I think for August, I want to focus on doing some crafts. I have a couple fun projects lined up. One of them is like rug tufting, which is something I've been wanting to try for a really, really long time. I'm excited to try some more stuff. With the Artist Way, I've been making a lot more art than I was before, so I'm really happy with that. I do I did fall behind on the artist way, but we can talk about that in another video. That's all from me. If you want to see what I end up making with the rest of the clay, or you just like art content or art vlogs, please subscribe, like the video if you liked it, and I will see you soon for the next one, probably a vlog.